What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Now, you're probably saying, Craig, where's the song? Or maybe you're saying, thank goodness there's no song. But either way, I'm not in a very calming mood. So the song wasn't going to do its job today. As you can probably tell by the title of tonight's stream, I'm pretty frustrated. I think I'm not the only one at this moment in time. The whole contract saga, to me, it's just getting into a distraction point. We're going to talk tonight about, of course, the Marcus story that came out last night. We're going to speak about the game against West Ham tomorrow. We're going to talk some transfers. We're going to give you some stats. We're going to do what we usually do. But I want to just tell you guys from the start, I'm pretty angry right now at where we are because as a football club, we're in a great place. Nobody's going to sit here and say otherwise. We're top of the league. We're chugging along nicely. Aaron has come in, done really well. And we keep hearing all the same phrases put out over and over and over again. The club are working relentlessly. The club are working tirelessly. The club are doing everything they can, etc., etc. But what we haven't seen yet is any results from any of this working tirelessly. And it's getting to a point now where I think many Liverpool fans are starting to feel frustrated. And that frustration is coming out in different ways. Some are taking their frustrations out on players. Some are taking it out on their fellow fans. Some are taking it out on the club. And I guess where I want to go with this tonight is I'm taking it out on the club. Now, I don't really mind if you think the club means Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, John W. Henry, Tom Werner, whomever you think is responsible for these decisions. I'm okay with that. For me, I think this is a disgrace. And I think that once again, we are seeing a club that makes the relatively simple stuff very difficult. Now, you're going to be told by the media and by journalists that want to just support the club, that it is a tricky process, that these things aren't straightforward. Well, all we can do as fans is look at what other clubs have done. And we've seen other clubs handle these situations far quicker than we have. And I think, as a fan base, ladies and gentlemen, us Liverpool fans have been more than calm about this contract situation dragging on. We understood that there was a new manager. We understood that there was a new sporting director. We understood that people were getting their feet under the table. But you know what? The goodwill for me is gone at this point because it's becoming a distraction. It's becoming something that, because of the cheapness of the club, could destabilise a brilliant season. Now, it may not destabilise it, and I'm not here to be the doom merchant, but what I am saying is it's entirely avoidable. And I'm getting fed up of hearing about how hard everyone's working and how great they are, because ultimately there's been no results. And there is no logical reason why they can't get these contracts sorted out. Particularly with the two players that we know want to remain here. We don't know what's going to happen with Trent, and we'll talk about that tonight as well. So I just wanted to do an intro tonight that was a little bit different, to give you a flavour of where I'm going to go with this stream. Because I'm pretty frustrated, and I'm not blessed with patience as a human being. I'll be the first one to admit that. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm an emotional fella. But I'm angry. I'm angry at a time where I should not be angry. I'm angry at a time where I should be just happy with where the club is. But once again, the club are finding a way to make us fucking frustrated. And I'm really annoyed by that. So I want to know how you guys are feeling about it. Who you think is responsible? Or do you think maybe we're all making a mountain out of a molehill? Because I'm open to that as well. So let's get through and get cracking. So let's start off. I think I missed this one from Scotty. If I did, mate, apologies. Can we talk about Trent? Also, Lennon Miller staying against Rangers tomorrow. I don't really pay much attention to the Scottish League, mate. But of course we'll talk about Trent. So let's go back to last night, because I think that's the best way to start this conversation. So late last night, just as we finished the stream, the stuff started coming out from Marca. And here's what pisses me off about Fabrizio Romano. He posted last night to say, Marca's front page today, Alexander-Arnold wants to join Real Madrid from summer 2025. And then he posts the front page, the same one that was on the thumbnail from earlier on. Then we go on and we have another market journalist this time saying Trent has been seduced by the idea of joining Madrid and has already informed Liverpool directors of his intentions of joining the Spanish side. It's now up to Liverpool to either sell their player this January or let him go for free in the summer. Now here's where I take issue with this. This is either true or it isn't true. Straightforward. He's either told Real Madrid he's gone there or he hasn't. But if you're Liverpool or Trent Alexander-Arnold, somebody here needs to grow a pair. Somebody here needs to step forward and say, this is shit, or yeah, there's something to it, and be honest with us. Because while we talk about Trent, I'm going to be as respectful as I can because I do hold him in great esteem. But this is entirely avoidable. He's playing both sides of the fence here. And I don't want to hear that he's keeping it quiet because negotiations are blah, blah, blah. It doesn't take a lot to come out and say lies. If that is untrue, just post over it to say lies. Because the longer nothing is said about it, the more angry fans are going to get. And as I mentioned at the very start of this stream, that anger will be manifested in different ways. Some towards the player, some towards the club, and some towards each other. So as we go on, there's more story again. Madrid Zone saying, breaking. Trent Alexander-Arnold has now made a decision and he has chosen to go to Real Madrid as a free agent. Now, I would point out to you that that is the same Madrid Extra who posted to say that Vinicius Jr. will tonight win the Ballon d'Or. How did that go? So what I'm trying to say here is, I don't know if Trent's made his decision or not. I really don't. But I do know that if he hasn't, somebody in our club, whether it be Trent, his representatives, or our club, need to call this crap out. Because we are being made a laughing stock at this moment in time. We look weak, we look undecisive, and it's not great for a team that are looking to go and win a league title. I don't understand what's holding Trent back from just saying, I want to be here. This is my first preference. You've got the Echo saying that to the best of their knowledge, Trent hasn't communicated to the club that he wants to leave. Theo Squires said, the Echo understands that Trent Alexander-Arnold has not communicated to Liverpool that he wishes to join Real Madrid. But has he communicated to Liverpool that he wants to play for Liverpool? That he wants to stay here? Because dragging this along, stringing fans along, is not going to end well. Because I would say that even now, Trent's legacy is starting to be tarnished. And if you think I'm wrong, just ask yourself, how many of your friends right now are feeling a little bit pissed off at Trent for saying nothing or for his body language? It's very avoidable. It's very avoidable. And it's not just me or others that are worried. I can name you now 3 former Liverpool players who've all come out publicly and said that they expect Trent to leave. And I'm going to go through that tonight as well and give you the very latest player to come out and say that they think Trent will depart. And if he does depart, all the goodwill goes out the window. Hear me out. Because as I mentioned all the way through this process, if Trent wants to go to Madrid, that's okay. It will hurt us Liverpool fans, particularly not getting a fee, as Jamie Carragher and others have said. But upfront and honesty is what's going to save the day for Trent here. If he has made his decision, if he does leave, the longer he strings fans along, the longer that he says nothing, the worse that legacy is going to become. And you can bury your head in the sand and you can say, don't be silly, Craig. He's a club icon. He's a club legend. He won't be. You don't even have to take my word for it. Ask any Scouser. Ask any former player. There is a big difference when Steve McManaman or Michael Owen returns to the club than there is when a Steven Gerrard or a Jamie Carragher or somebody like that returns to the club. It is not going to end well. He needs to grow up, man up, stop trying to play both sides of the fence and say what he wants to do. I know these aren't easy things to hear a fan saying. And as I said, I want Trent to stay. Make no bones about that. But I'm running out of excuses as why he's saying so coy. And I'm also running out of excuses as to what the club are at. It is nothing short of a disgrace and incompetence that we're sitting here as a fan base unsure if 3 really important players for us are going to stay at the club. It's a piss take. You know that I'm right. It is an absolute piss take that we're here. No one is bigger than the club, said Paul. Look, I don't want to point the finger of blame at the players, mate. You know, if Trent's made his mind up, fair enough, to say it like it is. My anger tonight is going to be at the club because they're allowing this situation to manifest once again. They're allowing Arsenal, Chelsea and other fan bases to maybe get a little bit of a pep in their step or to get a little bit of confidence from it. It's destabilising at the very least. And that's unacceptable because they've had so long to sort this shit out. Even the ones that we know want to stay, Virgil and Mohamed Salah, still no sign of them being sorted. Still no public, here you go boys, here's the contracts. Not one of these three lads has been renewed in 18 months. Even in the 6 months since Hughes has come into the club. What has he been doing? What we should be talking about tonight is Liverpool on a 21 or 22 game unbeaten streak since the Forest game. That's what we should be sitting here talking about. That's what the media should be talking about, but you won't see it mentioned anywhere because all the headlines are around the drama surrounding the football club and their 3-star players. And I don't care if you're the biggest FSG, Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards fan in the world, that is incompetent. That is shocking. And it needs to be called out because these guys are paid big sums of money to do these things and they're not doing them. So either John W. Henry and Tom Werner need to start sacking people or people need to start manning up and doing their fucking jobs. Thank you for this, by the way, mate. Appreciate you, football and cartoon fanatic. Appreciate your super chat, mate. So, Jay Jazz said, your issue with Trent's silence is off in my opinion. You may disagree with him leaving, but if he wants to go to Real Madrid, he has to keep quiet. If he gets injured, Real Madrid can pull out. So let me say, Ben, I appreciate a difference of opinion. I appreciate the respectful way you've delivered it. I'm going to try to be as respectful in my response. So let's say in the scenario you're speaking about, Trent has decided to go. I can tell you wholeheartedly that the longer he holds off and being honest, the worse it's going to get. If he comes out or had have come out and said, you know what, I fancy a new challenge. I've won everything I can win at Liverpool Football Club. This opportunity presents itself. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go and play for what is probably the biggest club in the world. And I fancy taking up that opportunity. Why can't he just do that? Because it isn't going to play out well for him, J-Jazz or J-Jazz, sorry if I've mispronounced, if he goes this way. It isn't. The hatred and the vitriol is only going to grow. And I think deep down you probably know I'm right on that one. But look, I don't have anger at Trent's decision. Trent's free to make his decision. I just don't like, and you can watch my streams for years, I don't like football fans being taken for idiots. I don't. I don't like us being strung along. I don't like people having a foot in both camps. I don't like them playing both sides of the fence. It's disingenuous. And that's my problem, mate. But I appreciate your forthright, honest opinion. Thank you. Chris Davies. How are you, Chris? Said, let me get this one up for Chris. It's not as if it's 3 fringe players. It's 3 first names on the team sheet. Absolute joke. I hope it isn't a distraction on the pitch. And thank you, Chris, for being with us as a member for 7 months. Brian, how are you, sir? And thank you again for your incredible generosity, Brian. Always appreciate you, sir. Brian said, totally agree with you. And Trent Alexander-Arnold expressed his desire to be captain of the club. This is not leadership. He is certainly ruining his legacy as far as I'm concerned. So I didn't even think about the point about leadership, Brian, as you've said. It's a really good point, and it's an interesting angle that I hadn't really considered, because you're right. Leadership is not doing this. You know, we know what Virgil wants and we know what Mo wants, as we've said all the way through. But to go back to our friend's point a second ago, if he gets injured, it ruins that move to Real Madrid. Why the fuck should that be our problem? Because if he's decided to go to Real Madrid, why do we care? Why should we pamper and pussyfoot around if he's made that decision because he doesn't want it just in case he gets injured? Tomorrow, well not tomorrow, 3 days, he can sign that pre-contract agreement and then Real Madrid are contractually obliged for him to go there and he doesn't have to be concerned about injury because he already has a contract. So all we're asking for, at least all I'm asking for here, is some upfront honesty from everybody concerned, the club especially. What have we got here? Man like Spence. If all three were to go, who would you replace them with? Because I'd go for Frimpong, Kudus and Haddo. So, look, I totally understand why people look at Frimpong as an option, but he shouldn't be. He's just all wrong for the system we play. He's obviously a very good footballer and obviously has a very appealing buyout clause, but he's just all wrong for the system we play. And Arnold isn't going to change that system. So I guess the answer would be, I would probably put Bradley through, but I would still say we need to go into the market then. Because Conor Bradley's not the finished article. I think Joe Gomez could do a job at right back if needed, but I do think we have to look to the market then. Maybe for somebody in the 25, 26 age bracket. Because I do think, as much as I am fully on board with Bradley being the successor longer term, he does have some development left to do. So I don't think he's there just yet. Mo and Van Dijk should be the priority. Trent can do one, said Football Cartoon and Fanatic. And just man like Spence, to go back to your question, the other two, I'm 99% certain they're staying. So I'm really relaxed about the Virgil and Mo situation, because to the best of my understanding, you know, that's going to be done. You know, I feel confident to say that. I don't think there's going to be any hiccups on those two. I think they will be done. The Detective, and I've got so many bits of news to go through tonight, so bear with me. Craig, what happens if we draw Madrid in the Champions League? Does Trent play if he hasn't signed? The club needs these contracts and a DM sorted out in January. We can't blow this chance to have an unbelievable season. Again, I'll be honest, mate, and say to you, I haven't even thought about that. I didn't give that any consideration. Again, to continue on with the honesty, I've been very much somebody who's buried their head in the sand about Trent, because every time I start to think about him maybe leaving, I check myself and I go, no, he's a Liverpool boy. This will be sorted out. But I don't know. Look, I think the bigger question here is, if he's going to leave and the club knows it and we know it, what do we do for the remainder of the campaign if Trent stays till the end of the season? Do you continue to trust in him to play? Because as you've said, if we knocked Real Madrid out in the quarter-final and Trent was part of it, wouldn't look great when he arrives. Now, people will say he's professional, but we know Madrid fans. We know what they're like. They're fickle. And yeah, I think it would be a concern, like you've said. Xantia, and thank you for your super chat, said, as a Scouser, I agree, Craig. We've supported Trent from the beginning. So far as fans, we deserve the truth. We would be sad, but we would see him off with love. Keeping quiet feels disrespectful to us. That's where I'm at. I don't know anybody who couldn't understand the lure of a Real Madrid. You know, I think everybody gets that side of it. But this quietness is, as you've said, as a Scouser, making you feel a little bit pissed off by it all. And I'm sure he has to know that. White Hammer, thank you, said, are Liverpool not able to do contracts? ... Canade. I don't understand. If I'm going to be entirely honest, my anger's with the club. It is, because the players are in difficult positions to some extent. But the club can control this narrative. The club can control this situation. And the question I keep coming back to is, why hasn't Mohamed Salah and Virgil been done and announced yet? Even pushing aside Trent for a minute, those two, they want to stay. And the club, the only reason I can think of that the club haven't yet sorted them is because they're cheap. I can't think of any other reason. They both want to stay. Why isn't it sorted? If we're penny pinching and putting this at risk again, that's a disgrace. I wouldn't trust Trent if he signs for Madrid. He'd never play again for me, said Carl. Fabrizio Romano said Trent will say to Leon. Fuck Fabrizio Romano. Let me say that first and foremost. I don't care what Romano says. I don't. Because Romano is nothing but a gun for hire. He isn't a journalist. I'm going to be careful of my words here. He's a glorified mouthpiece who has, as you've said that while at the same time playing the other side of the fence and posting about Marcus front page. I didn't see him saying when he was posting about Marcus front page that it was rubbish. No, because he wants to tickle both sets of nuts. That's why. So again, I don't care about Romano. I don't know a single journalist that actually holds an ounce of respect for him. He isn't a journalist. He is, these are my words, in my opinion, a telltale, a rat, a mouthpiece, a gun for hire, whatever phrase you want to use. That's all he is. Plague 9 Vive says, honestly, I think Liverpool fans are making more drama than necessary. We're on a supreme run and they're on about OMG, we're losing Trent. No, we're on about OMG, we haven't sorted 3 fucking contracts for 3 senior first team players. And you think we should be happy about this? You don't think this is a problem? That one, it was let to get to this point? Because let's be honest, the brain trust, the geniuses, have let it get here. And when you've got Paul Joyce and other journalists coming out and saying, whatever way you look at this, the club have shit the bed by letting the situation get this far. I don't think we're losing our shit for no reason here. I think we're perfectly within the boundaries of sensibility to say that this situation shouldn't have arose and shouldn't be dragging on this long. It's unnecessarily dragged out. And that's something I see over and over and over again in fans' comments. Is this was avoidable? This isn't a good look. This makes us look petty. This makes us look cheap. Or else the guys don't know what they're doing. It's one or the other. You know? There's no reason for it. It wouldn't happen at another club. It wouldn't. It would be sorted. And like, we're not talking about one here. So there's been situations before where City have let a contract run down towards the end, or United have let a contract run down towards the end. One. We're talking about the best forward probably the Premier League's ever seen, a local boy, generational talent right back, and the best centre back in world football. And the geniuses that run our club have let this happen to save a few quid. If that does not make your blood boil, I give up. Say no more about FSG. I don't know what you mean with that, mate, but it's their fault. It's their fault. Right, I'm going to ask, let's go to a poll. First one of the night. And thank you to everyone that's with us, by the way. If you can, drop a like on the stream, hit that subscribe button. Great to have you with us. There's 2,500 people in the chat. We really do appreciate you being here. This is going to be an emotional stream. From me, I'm sure from some people in the chat. I'm going to do my best to keep it respectful with you guys, as I always try to. But, you know, it is a touchy subject. Sorry, I'm just writing out a poll here. Bear with me. Okay. Just writing out a few options here. Sorry, folks. Bear with me. Okay, so I've written out a question that said, who is to blame for the contract situations? And I've given you 4 possible answers. FSG, the players, Hughes, or there's no blame to be had. So that's the first poll of the night. 4 options there. I'll leave it up for a while and then we'll see what you guys think. Right, so let's get through more news because there is a lot to get through. Mikel Arteta today confirmed that Saka has had successful surgery on his hamstrings and will be out for at least 2 months. And these are the games that he might miss. Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle in the League Cup, Manchester United in the FA Cup, Spurs at home in the League, Villa, Zagreb in the Champions League, Wolves, Girona, Man City in the League, Newcastle in the League Cup semi-final again, Leicester away, West Ham at home, Forest away, United away, and Chelsea at home. That is a big, big loss for Arsenal there, and I think it will spell the end of the title race. I really do. And on that, actually, while we're talking about Arsenal, let's have a laugh at this. So, an Arsenal account posted this. Miles Lewis-Skelly is currently the biggest talent in Europe. So, read that again. Miles Lewis-Skelly is currently the biggest talent in Europe. So, apparently, Lamine Yamal doesn't exist. Pedri doesn't exist. Gavi doesn't exist. The absolute deluded nature of that fan base, it just surprises me more and more every day. I mean, talk about overhyping a young lad on his way through, who no doubt is a good young footballer, but the absolute state of that. Just a little bit of light-hearted stuff to break the tension for a minute. Club will announce new contracts for VVD and Mo in January to distract us from them not signing anyone. Rinse and repeat, we've been here and seen it before. I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility. You know, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. We're going to have to hold firm and see what does happen in January. Honestly, I don't know what the market looks like for us in January. I'm going to go through some links tonight, but I fear we're going to get strung along and we're going to get sold something in the summer for the midfield situation. But let's wait and see. You said to stop all this reading it, so stop reading it. You know it's not true. I know what's not true. Are you actually an idiot? Did you not hear the whole conversation tonight? What isn't... Have they all signed contracts? Have I missed that? Because you're seemingly arguing with me over something that I've clearly said tonight is about why haven't the contracts be done and who's responsible for it. I've gone out of the way to say I don't want the players being blamed. I don't get it. I think you're just looking to have a moan at me, to be honest with you, mate, but you're entitled to it. So, the options are, who's to blame for the contract situation? FSG, the players, Hughes, or there's no blame to be had. And we'll leave that running for a while. Craig, Fabrizio said Zubimendi is a dream target in January. I've no doubt he is. But what we haven't seen is any indication that Zubimendi wants to make a move. You know, only a couple of weeks ago, he was quoted as saying it was an easy decision to stay at Sociedad. You know, they still have their aims and ambitions for the season. So, yeah, I've no doubt he is. But I guess the question I would have is, how long do you let that situation go on? Because if you don't get him in January, let's say, do you kick that can down the road for the summer and again hope for the best? Because Madrid might have a change of manager in the summer. They might look at Zubimendi. We know City are looking to do a bit of a rebuild. They may look at Zubimendi. So I think it would be January or bust in that one for me. But, you know, again, I just wanted decisive action here because between the contracts not being renewed and the failures in the transfer market to get Lavia, Caicedo, and now Zubimendi, I'm kind of all out of praise for these guys. Studio Flash, Trent isn't a good defender, that's a fact. He's a great attacking midfielder. Do you know, respectfully, I kind of disagree. Last season, I probably would have agreed with you more, but under Arne Slot so far, I think Trent has improved a lot defensively. I really do. I'm not saying he'll ever be the greatest right back in the history of the world defensively, but I do think he's improved a lot. And I think one thing that seems to be agreed by a lot of fans when I see them speaking in either my Discord group or in comment sections is that the impact Trent had is probably a little bit less under Arne Slot than, or maybe not the impact, maybe the need for Trent's talents is maybe a little bit less under Arne than it would have been under Jurgen because of the way Jurgen had Trent playing and the positions that he had him taken up. Couple of other things. Lux Rips, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, mate. Appreciate you on that one. David Brett Smith said, could Kimmich be a shout if Trent leaves? Can play right back and cover for Gravenberch. Do you think Kimmich would fit our system? Yes, but it would be a very unusual signing for us. It would kind of be like going back to the Thiago situation again. But look, I'd be surprised by it, let me say that. But Kimmich's a good footballer. I don't know enough about him to know how exactly he would suit our system, but he's certainly a name that I don't think too many of us would be annoyed about. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. If you had to bet 1,000 quid, would you say Chiesa makes a valuable contribution this season or not? I wouldn't put the bet on. That's what I'd say. I wouldn't put the bet on. On Chiesa, I want to bring up a story actually, because this has got me a little bit confused. So there is a story doing the rounds over in Italy, but the Echo have run with something, and the way they phrased it has kind of given me pause here for a second. So let me read it out to you. They say, Chiesa transfer interest revealed as a January loan move mooted. Federico Chiesa reputedly has several suitors in Serie A and could return to Italy next month. Calciomercato claims a move could happen, suggesting the player is unhappy at how little he has played this season. They also believe the Reds could consider selling the winger. Inter Milan, Napoli, Milan and Roma are all named as options, but those teams might struggle to match the player's wages. Now here's the part that confuses me. A loan move may suit all parties better, with the Reds paying part of his salary over the next 6 months while allowing him to play more regularly and regain fitness after a stop-start season so far. I don't understand this. Why would we buy the player, spend as long as we have getting him up to fitness, and then loan him out? If the plan is to flip him and make some money, then we got to go into the window in January and bring in another player. Maybe this is why we're seeing forward links. I don't know. But if Chiesa is to go, and again, I'm very surprised the Echo came out with a loan may be a better option, because when I've spoken to David and others about this, it's always been rubbish that there's any desire from Liverpool to move Chiesa on. But if we did, I want us to go into the market, because we're then leaving ourselves a forward short. You might say Craig, he hasn't played much, but he's still on the wage bill. He's still in the squad. He's still taking up a place on the bench. So I'd like to see that addressed. Hey, big bro. Much love from Africa. We love you. Thank you so much, Joseph. Much love to you as well, bro. I don't know what part of Africa you're in, but much love back over to you. It doesn't actually matter, does it really? But much love anyway. David Williamson said, Trent will not change the history of Liverpool. It's written in the stars for us to go on a winning run. We'll do it without Trent. His loss. Why didn't all those clubs just buy Chiesa last summer when he was available? That's a great shout, mate. And I don't know. It is confusing, isn't it? Because it's not like they were looking for huge money for Chiesa either. Like, we got him for a really low fee. And look, I've no doubt we could flip Chiesa and make a profit if that was the case. But it's still kind of dicking about with the first team squad a little bit, isn't it? So I'd like to see something sorted there to bring in a replacement. Cal Downs, thank you, mate. And same to you here, said, Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, Craig. In our position, we should be having these contracts boxed off and 1-2 signings to cement our title bid, but likely best get 1 or 2 contracts and nothing else, same old. Again, I can only be honest and say I've no idea what to expect in January. I can absolutely understand why people think that maybe we'll get some renewals and no business, and that'll be the club's way of glossing over it. But honestly, if that was the case, I think once again this will be another indication of the club thinking we're idiots. Because surely they can see that fans will see through that at this point. You know, it might have worked for a few windows in the past or whatever with some, but at this point, I don't think people would buy that anymore. Lockie Doc said, I didn't see the need for us to sign him in the first place. Paul Flanagan said, Federico probably on higher wages than the Italian clubs want to pay. Perhaps, yeah, perhaps. But on the need to sign him thing, it kind of feels like a bit of an opportunistic one, to be fair. But 6 is the right number for me. You need 6 forwards if you've got 3 of them playing. And if he was to move on, I think we need to address it in the market. That's all I would say. But look, I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, because the only reason I even bring it up is because of the bit there from the Echo that said a loan move might be better for all parties, because I've not really seen that from any of the English-based journalists yet. King Darwizzy said, hey Craig, would you take a Mo VVD extension and no Trent? Would I take it? I mean, as a fan, I want all 3 to extend, but I think what you've said is kind of where my head's at the minute with what I'm expecting. I've no information on Trent's situation, personally. I don't know anything you don't know. But the fan in me feels like he's not shown enough desire to be here. And it is impacting my view of him as much as I don't want it to. It is. Marca is a Spanish outlet is biased to Madrid. Do you not think I know that? Like, with all due respect, I'm doing this 6 years now. I know very well, and I think you're missing my point of anger though, Danny. It's not that what Marca say or don't say. It's that I'm not hearing anyone shouting this down, because that's a big claim to make, right? A newspaper came out and said Trent's told Madrid he wants to go there. So if I'm Liverpool and I see that, well, 1, that's tapping up for a start, and 2, prove it, or we're going to sue you. Genuinely, like, I can't just come on and make up claims. So Marca are a big outlet. If they've printed that, which clearly they have, prove it. Or Liverpool should come out and say it's rubbish. And it wouldn't take a lot for Trent to nip this in the bud. But yet again, radio silence from Trent. And I know a lot of people are going to say, but that's because he wants this played out privately. Fair enough. But it could also be because he's trying to play both sides of the fence, right? FSG will spin. Usual 2 contracts done equals 2 signings. So the clearest thing that I've been told around Trent is that he's given his preference to the club to negotiate. That's probably the strongest line that I've been able to get on Trent. Right, now I'm going to be careful about how I choose this sentence. If I was Richard Hughes and I was 6 months into a new job, and on my in tray when I came into the job was the contract renewals. We've all said that this isn't an issue of Richard Hughes making, it's one that he inherited. So if I'm him and I'm sitting down and I'm 6 months into it and I haven't resolved any of this, and I've shit the bed with Zubimendi in the summer, I'm thinking I'm about to get my ass canned. Because these lads aren't on 500 quid a week. Like, these are really highly paid executives. And he's either capable of the job or he isn't. But right now, he's done absolutely nothing that we know of. Nothing. Canade not done. Van Dijk not done. Salah not done. Trent not done. No signing of Zubimendi. So, somebody needs to man up here. He needs to either do his damn job, or John needs to start firing people, because the club are looking weak in this position. No need to get angry because it's not true. Again, did I say it was true, you fucking arsehole? Did I? Did I say it was true? You absolute little gimp. No, I did not. Fucking state of it. Stop trying to bait me. Fuck off to another channel. And just go away. Because you're not being sincere in this conversation. You just stop, because you don't want to believe it's true. You don't know, nor do I know if it's true or not. But you don't want to believe it's true, so therefore everybody else is an arsehole. At least I'm admitting that I've got no clue which way it goes. You're just burying your head in the sand and being a good little beta boy. And that's okay. Continue. Elsewhere. Way to treat your followers. I show respect when it's given, and you can also fuck off. So there you go. Do you think that I'm not around long enough to know that there are people who come in that aren't on the level, Scott? Do you think that I can't spot somebody trying to bait me after 6 years of doing this? Because I've only been respectful to anyone that's shown me respect and talked to me like an adult. So don't give me the guilt trip about wait to treat your followers, because you can just do one as well. If you don't come in and be respectful, I don't give a shite about you, because you're irrelevant to me. Because you haven't shown me the respect that I show everybody that comes into our chat. Simple as that. And I ain't going to change for you, for anybody else. Remember, this is my land. This is my channel. This is my area of the internet. You came in here. And again, I want to just say something really quickly. I understand this is an emotive topic. I understand we're going to get angry about it. But I'm always respectful to people that show it. Look back over the stream. Anyone tonight that I've disagreed with, I've gone out of my way to say I respect your opinion, but I disagree. So yeah, that is as simple as that. You might get away with this shit in other channels that don't care about their chat, but it ain't going to happen here. So right, let's move on to another story. And I think that this one belongs here. The one I'm going to read out, I'm very firmly saying from the start, I think belongs on this particular place right here. So, the Reds are reputedly interested in signing Arlene Zubimendi during the January transfer window. Fichajes claims that they're closely monitoring the midfielder for months and close to making a move in January. Liverpool are said to be the main team keen on Zubimendi. It is acknowledged that it would take a considerable transfer fee to do business with Madrid, but the Reds are reportedly willing to sanction such spending on the player. So here's my take on that. That's Real Madrid trying to drum up interest in a player that they deem no longer good enough or that they want to keep around. And it's an easy get to say, let's throw Liverpool's name out there, because under Jurgen, this story probably would have had legs. But under Arne, we've not seen any indication that Zubimendi is that guy, because he probably would have been revisited in the summer, or at least we would have made that approach in the summer. So I don't think this one's real personally. I think, as I mentioned, it belongs on that little island there. Harry Klein said, we see Salah and VVD having a world-class season, working hard for the contract, but I look at Trent being average and inconsistent. I hope he stays. So this is maybe where I'm a little bit different to some. I don't think Trent's had a poor season. I don't think, bar one game, actually, it was one game I felt like he was off it. But I think he's producing. I think his performances have been, in the main, okay. Yeah, that I feel comfortable enough to say that. I wouldn't be saying Trent's down in tools or anything. No, nothing like that for me anyway. Craig Adams, I did miss your super chat, bro. My apologies. Let me get that up for you now. That's what she said. Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing a Rashford and holding the club to ransom. it's difficult to say because I don't know the conversations, right? I don't know if Trent's pitched the number that the club thinks is absolutely ridiculous or whatever, or the club have gone really low ball and Trent thinks to be high. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. But at this point, if it was me and it was my business, ultimatums have to be given. You know, there has to be a line in the sand where you go, we want this sorted by here. If we can't get to an agreement by here, maybe we ain't going to get there. That's kind of where I'd be at with all of them, to be fair. But particularly with Trent, because he's the only one that we don't know wants to stay. We don't know he doesn't want to stay yet, but we don't know he does either. Players that left Liverpool regretted it, and so will Trent. So there's absolutely zero doubt in my mind, if he was to leave, that the full impact of that decision probably wouldn't become clear to him for a while. And I also agree with you that it would impact. I mean, I struggle to find any sense in anybody thinking that it won't impact his legacy at the club. I've seen John Cross, who's a lovely guy by the looks of it and a great journalist, but he said something on Sky Sports last week that kind of had me laughing, in that if he was, you know, to stay till the end of the season and Liverpool won the league and Trent was off to Real Madrid, that we'd all stand and applaud him for being such a hero and send him on his merry way to Real Madrid with all of our best wishes and a sandwich for the aeroplane and an Echo under his arm and a bottle of water. No, not going to happen. Because you know all that adulation that you get for being the local boy done good that came through the academy, that was highlighted up, that has all these video shoots with Adidas and all this other stuff about how it's special to you. And when you're coming out with stuff about why winning stuff at Liverpool means more than winning stuff at Manchester City, that all sounds pretty fucking hollow if you don't back it up with staying at the club. And here's the thing, right? Steve McManaman, Michael Owen, or anybody else who left Liverpool, and particularly in these cases to Madrid, they left Liverpool at a time where Liverpool were a pale imitation of the past Liverpools. We're talking about a Trent situation where Liverpool are currently the best team in Europe. Top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League. Why would you want to go anywhere? Because everything he wants to achieve, he can win here. Like the Ballon d'Or stuff's laughable because he's never winning a Ballon d'Or. Here at Real Madrid, at Accrington Stanley, is never happening because he's not good enough to win a Ballon d'Or. It's as simple as that. You might disagree with me on that, but I'm pretty confident when we look back in the end of his career, you won't see a Ballon d'Or beside him. And if he goes to Madrid, he's behind Vinicius Jr., who already feels robbed of a Ballon d'Or. Jude Bellingham, who probably feels like a Ballon d'Or is coming his way. And the pecking order is going to just run down. So he ain't getting a Ballon d'Or. Champions League, I would argue he's more likely to win that at Liverpool this year than Madrid. But look, Madrid do deliver Champions League titles. But he'll never, ever have that same feeling of the crowd singing his name and standing there and loving him and making him feel like £1,000,000, because that fickleness of Madrid fans, it's going to be a massive change. Can I sing the Zubi Do song again? No. You know what? That was such a bigger thing than I ever intended it to be. That was a kind of throwaway thing. But if we sign, I'll sing it. If he signs, I promise you I'll come back on and sing it. Right, so let's end this poll. So, who is to blame for the contract situation? We've had almost 2,000 votes. So I'm going to leave it up till we get 2,000 votes, because that's a nice sample size to get. So if you haven't had a vote yet, folks, please do. Also, if you haven't subscribed, welcome to the channel. You know, if it's your first night watching, it's not always this emotional. I promise you, sometimes we're a little bit more calm. But today has been a difficult day because honestly, my phone has been melting with messages and concerned people and emails and people all trying to figure out if there's any truth to that Marca headline last night. Izan said, Trent's ruined his legacy already, even if he stays. Not for me. He certainly dented it. I would certainly say I would hold a small bit of resentment for a lack of communication that he wanted to stay. But ultimately, I'd be happy because that's what I want. And I think that's what we all want. So for me, I wouldn't say he's ruined his legacy. But he's left a sour taste at the minute. For me. Stuart Turner, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Craig, it is this emotional. Don't be kidding anyone. Yeah, I was saying that, Owen, as the words were coming out of my mouth, mate, I was thinking, you're full of shit, Houlden. You know that? You saying it's not this emotional. I mean, just look at any match day. I mean, fair shout, mate. Right, so we at the 2,000 votes? Yeah, we are. Right, so 70%. Now remember, I gave everybody options here. I gave you, there's no blame to be had. I gave you Hughes, I gave you the players, and I gave you FSG. So these aren't my votes, so you can't get angry at me. So people say 70% of people said FSG, 14% say Richard Hughes, so 84% think it's something to do with the club. Whether it's Hughes, Edwards, FSG, 84% say that. There's no blame to be had, is 9% of people, and again, I understand that perspective if you're feeling like, you know, still optimistic about everything. And the players, 6%. Now that, I struggle to get to the point to blame the players, to be honest, because the players are always going to be inherently selfish and look after their own interests and their careers, because they get one. But I think the club are showing a bit of naivety here, and a lack of strength for me. Let me just draw your attention to something that came out last week. And I can't remember which outlet said this, so I do apologise for that. I would credit them if I could remember. But there was a piece that said, Liverpool know that they probably could have got the lads, Trent, Virgil and Mo, to extend their contracts when Jurgen had told the club, and it hadn't gone public yet, that he was leaving. They could have acted then, been disingenuous, and got the boys to extend. But they didn't, out of respect for Trent, for Virgil and for Mo. Now, that's the Liverpool Football Club that we know. That's the Liverpool Football. That was what we would expect from Liverpool Football Club. But can we say that that's been repaid back to them? Because it's dragged on. And somebody's to blame for these contracts not being done. And for me, on my checklist of excuses, I'm wearing pretty thin on reasons Trent needs to be convinced to stay. I think with Virgil and Mo, most of us feel like it's a club decision on that one about length of contract, wages and stuff like that. But with Trent, it's always felt like it's a Trent decision. Colin said, Craig, I blame Trent. The club knew what Trent was going to do before Klopp left. I think it was the right decision from the club to hold off and not be sly about it with the players. I think that was the right decision. Because I certainly know if I was in the players' shoes and I was signed up on the belief that Jurgen was staying and then he was leaving, but I found out the club knew he was leaving, I'd feel pretty annoyed about that. You know, you might get over it and all, but you'll always have this thing in the back of your mind thinking, are they on the level with me here? So I think it was the right thing for the club to do. I'm Fluffy to you. Should I think you missed the most likely option for the poll that all three are equally to blame? Well, it would have been a far more even poll if that was the case, right? You know? It certainly looks as if the club, I think to be fair, is the one most people feel are to blame for this situation, allowing it to get to this point. Phantom Playing said the bigger picture here is the contract, is if this contract BS goes on into January and the players are allowed to talk to other teams, it will seriously impact our season. spot on. And look, I don't think we're speaking out of class here to say that's probably going to happen, as in we'll get into the January window and these contract... See, what I find amusing is that I've seen so many people set different deadlines in the chat in their minds. So people would say, I want it sorted before, the January window opens, or I want it sorted before X and Y. And everybody keeps pushing and pushing and pushing that date back a little bit. For me, I've always been very firm of it has to be done before the January window opens, much like you just said, because it opens the possibility of distraction and, a dressing room that looks very harmonious from the outside and looks like everyone gets on. If somebody doesn't want to be here longer term, I think that needs to be resolved, or it could foster resentment inside the dressing room. Hippo Critic said, AC Milan looking at Darwin, swoosh for Marmouche. I didn't actually see that one. But look, I think a lot of people in the chat would say if Darwin does move on, Italy or Spain would probably be a better fit for his attributes and for his style of football. What's this that Mark sent me? Oh, here we go. Mark's just sent it to me actually. Sorry, Mark. I should have read that out quicker. So, AC Milan are in direct contact with Liverpool over striking Darwin Nunez in a bid to strengthen their attack ahead of next summer. The offer for Nunez is a loan of €5 million with an obligation to buy for €45 million, and the Reds are considering accepting it. According to @Milan TMN. So I'm sure, I don't know if that's a fan account or whatever, but let's ask that in a poll. Let me ask, would you accept €50 million for Darwin? So, simple question. Would you accept €50 million for Darwin? Yes or no? I actually don't know. Sincerely, I don't know. I do think he'll be sold, but I don't know what the number is. I don't know what the right number is. I don't know what his valuation is. I really don't. So, I guess we're talking about in the summer. The loan stuff, I think the club will be leaving ourselves very short to loan him out. I think if you're going to move him, it has to be a straight sale, and you have to have a replacement lined up ready to go, personally. But right, let me read out some super chats that I have to get back through. So, first one up comes from Charlie. Said, if Trent wants to go, Madrid offer 10 million or 15 million in January, do you take it? And if yes, what would we mean? Would that mean we need another backup to Bradley? Would I take it? Yes, I would. But I'm going to be entirely honest with you, Charlie, right? Would I take it? Yes. Do I think that may impact us a little or weaken us a bit for the rest of the season? Potentially. But I also feel it makes a very firm statement that if you don't want to be here, well, okay, let's move you on. Because I'd rather get 10 or 15 million from them than let him leave for nothing. And I don't think him alone departing, if Bradley was fit and Gomez was there, would be enough of a weakening point for us that it would cost us. I think you would see Elliott or somebody else step up and we get some more assists from elsewhere. And by Elliott, I mean, obviously Elliott's not a right back, but I mean where we're getting the assists from and the creative side. Next one from Joshua J. Said, thankfully we turned down Amram as manager because he hasn't a clue even if you play his formation. So while you've brought up United, let me just talk about United for 1 second. I hope this doesn't offend any English people or British people, because I kind of don't mean to offend you by saying this, but the fact that Jim Ratcliffe is a sir and is acting the way he's acting, I find it incredibly disrespectful. So the latest from Mr. Radcliffe, and again, this isn't just me pulling this out my backside, it's the Daily Mirror and it's everywhere. So Jim Radcliffe has chosen to cut funding for a charity that tends to former Manchester United players, with the organisation not told of the decision until they phoned up querying missed payments. Now, I believe it's been reported that the amount in question here is about £40,000. That's pathetic from somebody who knows better and has the money. We've seen Christmas parties cancelled, Christmas bonuses cut from £100 down to £40 M&S vouchers. We've seen Stewart of the Week prizes of £50 cancelled. We've seen Stewart Christmas bonuses cancelled. We've seen frontline workers at Manchester United not get perks around FA Cup finals and whatnot. And if you're cutting charity payments to former players, I'm sorry, that's nothing short of scumbag behaviour in my eyes from somebody as a sir who should be setting a higher standard. Just my opinion. Sergeant Yarrison Haight said, conspiracy, the club and players are dragging out these contracts for the Netflix documentary. It's show business. It's not WWE, like, so I don't know, man. It's a bit of a stretch, I think, but yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man, if I can get on board with that thought process. How is he a sir, says Alex. I don't know, that's shocking, said Keith Dunn. And charity donations are tax deductible, said Dave Sharples. It doesn't make any sense to me, mate, at all. Like, are United that hard up for 40 grand? Do you know what I mean? And you know what's going to happen here? Without doubt, people will start offering to pay it, or fans will offer to raise the money. And it looks even worse. I mean, whoever's advising him, it's like they're trying to wind United fans up at this point. And usually I'm all for that. But not when it's at the expense of working class people or former players who need a bit of help. Because that's what this charity's there for. To help former players. You know, players back in the day wouldn't have had the financial incentives and luxuries that modern day footballers have. I think it's truly disgusting on a human level. I get your no offence, but titles like Duke, Duchess can be all bought online as well. I own one, mate. I own one. But when we buy these titles, it's not the same as Sir Jim Radcliffe, who's been knighted by the royal family. You know, I can't use my title anywhere. And I am a sir. I bought it from Sealand, as much like you've said. But he's a real, genuine, bona fide, knighted man. Yeah, I don't know. It's pathetic, quite frankly, in my opinion, as a human being. They can't even repair Old Trafford. No shock, said Charlie. Caleb said, I know you don't think Davies is possible, but he's a free agent in the summer and can sign a pre-contract in January. Plus his numbers are very impressive. But I might be wrong on this. Correct me if I am. Isn't he already at Bayern on a very high wage? So the problem here would be the wage structure for me. You know, if you're just saying to Trent, you ain't getting 300 grand a week, and then you've got Davies coming in wanting 300 grand a week, and you're looking at giving it to him, I just, nothing about that whole deal would make sense unless he was willing to take a reasonable paycheck to come and win stuff. But I don't think anybody would have any qualms about Alphonso Davies, the quality of the player, Alphonso Davies from the age bracket. It just doesn't seem like a Liverpool signing. It seems like it's a United or Real Madrid type signing. But, you know, I wouldn't be angry about it, mate, if it happened. Don't get me wrong. I just truly don't feel it's a realistic one for us. Most rich people get there off the backs of the poor. Been happening for millennia. Horrible people on this planet, said Boeing Zabadi. Well, I'm not rich, nor will I ever be, so I can't speak from the rich person's behalf, but I appreciate your perspective, my man, and thank you for your membership with us for 11 months. What will Neville and Keane say about that, said Dave Sweeney. Actually, do you know what? I don't know if they have. As anybody, I don't follow Gary. I'm not on social media, so I don't follow most of these people. I see this stuff when it gets sent to me or it's in our Discord group. So I don't know if there's been a reaction from them, Dave. It's a good question because, you know, Gary is the self-appointed Prime Minister of football. So surely with him speaking about the morals of Manchester United, and surely he'd have something to say about it. You're right, because he should. But maybe he has. I truly don't know. Whale Gally, thank you, mate, for becoming a member. Appreciate you supporting us, sir. Thank you. Would I take Harry Wilson back? I wouldn't, no. But I've always had a soft spot for Harry Wilson. Let me say that. I just think he's too inconsistent. You know, he'll score a few worldies every year. But, you know, it's good to see him playing regular football. That I will say. Because he always seemed like a likeable guy. And he does pull a few worldies out as well, to be fair. But no, I wouldn't take him back. Craig, tell the truth, you're a gory oligarch. I live in a council house and my dream is to buy the council house. I wouldn't say the words oligarch is quite in there, mate, but I am getting a new car next week, so apart from that, that's probably the most luxurious thing about my life, mate. Right, so we're nearly at 1,000 votes on the poll. Oh, wow. I didn't know I was going to get this answer. When we get to 1,000 votes, I'll end the poll. The question was, would you accept €50 million for Darwin Nunez? Kind of taken that from the article that was posted about AC Milan being interested. So we've now, have we got to 1,000 yet? We've had 1,000 votes, so we'll end that one. Surprisingly, I thought this would be closer to 50-50, honestly, I did. 78% or 77%, because it always robs 1%, said yes, they would accept €50 million, which is about £45 million for Darwin Nunez. I guess I could probably understand it from the perspective of that probably buys you Omar Marmoush. So I guess from that perspective, but we are going to be losing money on the Nunez deal, but I guess there's always going to be some loss there. It'd be very unusual to get €100 million back from him, wouldn't it? Or close to that. Charlie said, Gary hasn't said anything about it, which is sad. No, it's not sad. It's cowardly. Which is... You often hear me speaking about hypocrisies in football, right? And if Gary Neville doesn't have the backbone to speak out against Radcliffe, you know why. It's as simple as that. Because you won't find one human being that thinks that that's right. Not one. So, this is what I speak about. Cowardice. People speaking on both sides of their mouth. People professing to have morals and a stance in life until it maybe impacts their ability to make a pound note. So, again, I'm taking this your face value to say he hasn't posted anything about it. If he hasn't, he's a coward. No other thing to say. Coward. If he hasn't. What car are you getting? A Ferrari LaFerrari. Fucking right. No, we're getting a Renault Raphael. Bias to the owner. They're paid to be pro owners. Yeah, this is the thing. This is what does my head in. Anybody who claims to want the best for life, the world and the club and doesn't have the backbone to speak out, thinking it might cost them access. We come back to this whole thing about football not having a space for dissenting voices or not being able to take criticism. It's not healthy. Colin, how are you, bro? Thank you for being with us, mate, for 13 months. Colin said, Craig, would you consider Ferguson from Brighton? I just don't think he's ready. Obviously, as an Irishman, I want Evan Ferguson to do really well. And there's a lot to like about him, but not yet. No, I don't think he's ready. Nice car, dude. Happy motoring. Thank you. Thank you, Declan. It's the second ever new car I've bought, mate. I'm 43 and this is the second new car. Private new car we've had. And yeah, look, I'm scared about the cost price of it, to be honest with you, because it's a big sum to commit to, and it makes me very nervous to sign over for that type of money. But ultimately, I looked at it this way. We've had a really busy year, and I've made lots of sacrifices, and I've missed lots of family stuff, and I've missed weddings, and I've missed for a reason, to try and build a better future for the family. And my wife fell in love with this car, and she just kept sending me pictures of it every time she'd go past the garage and go, look at this, have you seen the new Renault Raphael? And then there's this particular blue and all the stuff she loved. And ultimately, I do this to make them happy. And if I can put a smile on her face by getting her the car that she wants, that's my job. And I'll work harder to make sure I can do it. But it's just nice. First time in my life I've been able to do that, So it's a big it's a big deal for us. What's this? Sorry, some stuff getting sent to me here. Yeah, we've gone through that one already. It was just about the Darwin stuff. Craig, you're nervous getting a car. Trent's nervous about making a statement. I'm only nervous about it because you're on the hook for a significant sum of money, But hey, it is what it is. You live a little, right? I doubt Wolves will sell Cunha mid-season. So actually, on Cunha, that's a really I think topical subject for us to go on. Sorry, I'm just going to type this out. Right, so is Cunha good enough to join Liverpool? Because actually it's kind of a regular topic now over the last few weeks. It's been spoken about by a lot of Liverpool fans about Cunha. And again, I don't know. It would be my answer. I can see why people like him. I can see that he has a bit about him. But we're talking about getting to the very top here, like Liverpool Football Club. I'm probably on the mindset that if we're bringing in a forward, I'm really sold on Omar Marmoush, to be honest. Ryan said, just got in, did Trent really say he's leaving? I don't think any of us have claimed Trent said he's leaving, to be fair, Ryan. I certainly have never said the words Trent said he's leaving. What we can just go through is what we did at the start of the stream, and I will be recording a recap news video after the stream, so don't worry if you can't catch the news here. I'm going to be recapping it at about 10:30. So we'll go through it all in more detail then, but I still have some more news bits I need to get through. So we've given you some stuff from the Spanish side of the Real Madrid conversation with Trent. Now let's have some stuff from the English side. So this is from Dominic King of the Mirror, who said Real Madrid growing in confidence of tempting Trent Alexander-Arnold to join on a free. No deal is done, and so far only negotiations Trent has had over the future has been from Liverpool, but there is a belief from the Spanish capital. So that was posted by Lewis Steele, crediting Dominic King. There was another one that said Liverpool will continue to try to tie down their vice captain, to a new deal, and until a pre-contract agreement with another club is signed, which is not a definite, they will still strive to do so. The language involved in that post, to me, is a little bit telling. Now again, this isn't coming from the club, so we're talking about journalist speak, but let me read it through to you again. Liverpool will continue to try to tie down their vice-captain to a new deal until a pre-contract agreement with another club is signed, which is not a definite. They will still strive to do so. That sounds like a PR play, where we're doing everything we can. We're trying everything. It doesn't sound great, but again, it is just journalist speak, so we'll wait to see. And that's from the English side, as we've said. There's a little bit about Johnny hiding it, actually, I'm going to go on to in a second. V2 said, why Cunha when you can get João Pedro, another Brazilian? Personally, I'd have question marks over both. Cunha for the step up and Pedro for the injuries that he's had over the past few seasons. I think there are better options for us, but it's a fair point you've made. And he's certainly a name that's been linked to us a little bit in the media over the past while. I guess when you're looking at getting a player from Brighton, you know you're going to have to pay top dollar, because that's what Brighton do. They bring in players, give them the platform. If the player develops well, they cash in the end for big money. And I don't think big money is what we're going to be spending here. So I just don't think the numbers would add up there for us. Probably the most rational answer I can give you. Right, Johnny hiding it. One of Liverpool's assistant managers or assistant coaches. So, Liverpool first team coach Johnny Heidegger is a leading contender to be the new West Brom manager, said Footy Insider. Then Paul Joyce and another journalist have said, meanwhile, West Bromwich Albion have placed Liverpool's assistant coach Johnny Heidegger on a list of potential candidates to replace Carlos Corberán. However, West Brom would face a battle to persuade the 41-year-old to leave mid-season. So, let's wait and see there. I mean, we don't want to start seeing the backroom team that's only been assembled stripped down already, but I guess you always have to understand that, you know, he was a first team coach before, if I'm not mistaken. I think Johnny Heidegger was a coach in the Netherlands, like a first team coach. So, you know, wait and see what happens there. But ideally, you wouldn't like to lose any of Arne Slot's backroom staff midway through a season. Right, I'll do a poll about 4 strikers in a minute, or 4 forwards in a minute. So on the poll, I'm going to put Marmoush, I'm going to put Cunha, and I'm going to put João Pedro. I need one more name as a suggestion. Don't say to me Gyökeres, because that isn't going to happen. So give me another name that you'd like to see in the post of who you would like Liverpool to go and sign if we need a forward. Need one more name. Isak is probably the right shout. Yeah, I think fair play. I think that's probably the right shout straight away. Very first comment. Yeah, fair play, folks. You're on the money. I'll give you that one. And don't tell us we're not all on the same wavelength, right? Look at the amount of Isaks in that chat there. Well played. Well played. Luxola said, regarding Cunha, we do seem to have a knack for taking mid-table stars and making them world-class. They're more attractive players than Cunha, sure, but I'd take him if that's who Slot wants. Again, I think I don't really have much pushback on what you've said, mate. It's a very valid point. I would say Mbeumo would be another one of those type of players that you could make a valid argument as to having enough traits to be worth a punt, and maybe could be somebody again to make the next leap forward. So yeah, fair play, decent comment, and thank you for your contribution as well, mate. It's always great to see fresh perspectives in. Jonathan David from Lille, I think he'll be free in the summer. You see, on Jonathan David, I've gone back and forth. I was a very firm no on Jonathan David until I watched the highlight reel. And then I watched him and I seen him score a load of different goals that I didn't know he had in him. But it's just the free part. It just makes me like, would we sign him if he was 40 million quid? Because remember, we're looking for somebody here to be the guy, the focal point, the feature of our attack. But I'll get to have a look at Jonathan David next month when I go over. I'll get to watch them for the 90 minutes when Liverpool are playing Lille. So probably better for me to answer that one then. But you're right, he is going to be a free transfer in the summer. Unless Lille can get him to sign a new deal. Right, 189 more likes to go to get us to 1,000. So if you can hit that like button, much appreciated. Again, at the top of the chat, you'll see a link. We're trying to raise that money to help Joe buy that wheelchair basketball chair. If you can help out with a small donation or anything for Joe, all of his story is there. Click on the link. It'll give you all the information. We're hoping to be running a competition in January where we're going to give away a PlayStation 5. We're just trying to link it up and hook it up to the contribution so we can, reward people with an opportunity to win a PS5 if they make a donation. But we'll have more information on that really soon. We're just still working through some small legalities at the back end. That's what he said. Craig, if we extend all three and do nothing else, what's the frustration level? I'm at about 4 or 10. I'm at about 9 of 10 right now with the contracts, mate. I thought long and hard, and there's too many that's what she said jokes. I thought long and hard about the wording of today's thumbnail. Honestly, I've given more thought than I did most other days. And I'm comfortable with the wording I used. Because it is a piss take that we're here as a club. And it's a dereliction of duty for me that none of these have been sorted out yet. I think everyone deserves better. It's just not good enough. Charlie said, Maxi, Bellamy, Coit, Babel, Shaqiri, best to worst. Best to worst. Best for me, Coit, because I love them. Coit, Bellamy, Maxi, Babel, Shaqiri would be my attempt at that. I didn't rate most of those players though, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I didn't rate a lot of them. Right, so let's check this poll and we'll see if we've got the votes up yet. Not quite yet. This is a close one. Is Cunha good enough for Liverpool? It's close. There's only 3% difference. Well, 53-47, 6% difference, but 3% swing. James Richard said, should I believe we're going to win the title or is it too early? Personal preference, mate. I'm fully on board with us winning it. I'm not afraid to say I think we're going to win it. I'm not afraid to be confident because we've earned the right to be confident. Add into the fact that, Chelsea have had a wobble again. Arsenal have just lost their talisman for the foreseeable. And we've come through some really difficult fixtures over the last few months. I don't think it gets spoken about enough that we're now on I think it's 22 game unbeaten streak. Can you imagine, by the way, if this was Arsenal? Genuinely. Imagine Arsenal were on a 22 game unbeaten streak. You wouldn't be able to move for seeing it in the news. It'd be spoken about every 5 minutes. I don't see us getting spoken about like that. Genuinely, I find it really annoying that Liverpool aren't getting the praise for this. It's almost gone under the radar that we've been on since Nottingham Forest. The one game we've lost. It's remarkable. And it's amazing how time flies as well. Like since that Forest game to now. 22 games or something. It's incredible. It should get way more coverage for me than it has. Because if United went on a 3-game winning streak, you know what I mean? It'd be all over the gaff. 22 games or so without losing. It's incredible. And in that time we've played Madrid, Leverkusen, Manchester City, Arsenal away. It's brilliant. We're unbeaten away this season till now. You know what? There was a big thing made about Arsenal having the only unbeaten home record in the Premier League. And not a mention of the unbeaten away record that we have, mate. So when I heard that stat last night, I thought to myself, you fucking snidey arseholes. Saying it about Arsenal's home record, but no mention of Liverpool being unbeaten away, as you said. And they tried to tell us we imagine these biases in the media or on certain channels. Charlie said he's ready to board HMS Pista League. I got you, bro. I got you. Always ready for you. Always ready. And thank you, Charlie. Appreciate you, my man. Will Salah win the Ballon d'Or in 2025? Said Jessica. Do you know what, Jessica? I think he has a very good chance. I would go as far as to say, what's HMS? His Majesty's ship or Her Majesty's ship. It's what all ships in the English Navy and stuff are called. HMS would have been Her Majesty's when it was Queen Elizabeth. Now that it's King Charles, it's His Majesty's ship. Where was I going with that? Salah. Yeah, sorry. Salah in the Ballon d'Or. Jessica, I think this is probably his best chance to do it this season. He's a clear standing away for me so far, the front runner. But there's a long way to go. You've got to be going deep in the Champions League, and I think winning the Premier League anyway. But I hope we can help him do it, because I feel like he's been underappreciated by a lot of the footballing public for a lot of what he's done. But yeah, good chance this season, and how incredible would it be to see the great man get that acknowledgement? Yeah, I certainly would love it to happen. And I'm not big on these individual awards, to be honest, but I do feel like he's not got his flowers properly, Mo, from a lot of the footballing world. Garfu said, I think we should sign this young Brazilian from the Saudi League. His name's Roberto Firmino or something like that. Perhaps we could make a song. Oh, there's something that the cup wants you to know. He's the best in the world. He's Bobby Firmino. I miss singing that song so much. I need to learn the Lucho song, actually. I missed the super chat, somebody said. 1 second, bro. I apologise for missing it. Let me get back to it for you. Where was the one that I missed? What was the gentleman's name? There we go, Aryan. 1 second, bro. Doo-doo. 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 There you go, Aryan. My apologies, sir. Real wants Super League. What Champions League will Trent win? That's another thing that baffles me, Aryan, mate, about football at the minute. There's not enough talk about that. Like Real Madrid talking about respect for them at the Ballon d'Or and whatnot, while at the same time still trying to get the Super League on the go and sticking 2 fingers up to the European competition. It's a really good point, mate. And I've always felt like that they've been trying to assemble this squad of all the best world youthful players, like your Mbappes, your Bellinghams, your Vinny Juniors, your Rodrigos, your Endricks, to almost say to UEFA or FIFA, ban us, I dare you, go ahead and take away all these great ban them from playing for their countries, go ahead and ban the superstars of world football. It feels like they've been almost assembling a team of superheroes to test FIFA or UEFA's will to punish them. So yeah, it's a really good point, and thank you for raising it. And again, I'm sorry I missed your super chat. And this is, by the way, why I get so riled up by people who say, why don't you talk to your subscribers or followers? As you've seen, if somebody's normal and respectful to me, I will always give it back to them. But I don't have time for assholes. And I'm not here to parent people. Tomorrow's 5:15, Dave, for the match. It's 5:15, not 5:30. It's 5:15, which is a weird one, I know, but that's the kickoff time tomorrow. So we'll be live from 4 o'clock, by the way, for that one. Right, I'm going to end this poll so we can get to the last poll of the night, which is going to be the one about the striker. So we're going to give you 4 options, and then you guys are going to vote for it. But I need 12 votes. I need 7 votes on the one we have up to get to 1,000. And I need 108 likes to get to 1,000 likes as well, folks. So do hit that like button. Nearly there. Nearly there. There we go. Thank you. Right, so is Cunha good enough for Liverpool Football Club? 54% of you guys have said yes. And now the final poll of the night, which I'm about to write now. Right, so. Okay. Who else do we say? Okay. And one more. Right, so pick a player to sign: Marmoush, Isak, Cunha, or João Pedro. Pick one of them, and we'll see what you guys think. Who will be the front runner there? There was something I wanted to say. Oh yeah, so I need your help, all of you. So we're coming into the start of 2025, and January is usually quite a big month for any channel, obviously transfer windows and stuff like that. So as you can see in the top corner of the stream image, we're now at 289,179 subscribers. A number which, in all honesty, I never thought we'd get anywhere near when we started. But we want to make a big push in January to try and get the channel to 300,000 before the end of the January transfer window. So if you haven't subscribed, or you're somebody that watches in the background, or you're somebody whose friends occasionally tune in or whatever, spread the word. Let people know, because it will be an unbelievable achievement for us, and it will be a big milestone for the channel. So we do want to try our best in January to push towards 300,000 subscribers. So you know what to do. Spread the word. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed to this point, who has joined us on this journey. We hope to continue to do you proud, and above all else, be honest in our opinions. Right, couple more super chats I need to get through. This one from Stephen Reynolds. Thank you, Stephen. Said, if you could pick 3 former players, defence, midfield and attack, of any era to strengthen the current squad, who are you picking? Love the channel. Good choice. So I'll answer the question, Stephen, only from players I've watched, because I don't think it's fair if I start talking about Souness or Dalglish, because I never got to see those guys play. So in my era, defence, easy, Sami Hyypiä. Again, I haven't seen Hansen or those guys, so for me, Sami Hyypiä to come in alongside Virgil, even though I love Canade, but having those 3 options would be incredible. Midfield, Gerrard, easy. You know, you could say Alonso, whatever, but the answer is Steven Gerrard. And up top, Luis Suarez. I think Luis Suarez attributes in this team will be incredible. Honestly, can you imagine a front 3, let's say, of Diaz or Gakpo on the left, Suarez through the middle and Salah on the right? That would be ridiculous. Just give us all the trophies. Michael, see you later, mate. Oh, there was somebody in the chat whose birthday it was, actually. Let me scroll back up. I meant to say this earlier. It was one of the Michaels. Michael Manser, I think it was you, sir, if I remember correctly. Happy birthday, bro. I seen your comment before the stream and I meant to say it to you before now. Am I watching the darts? It's recorded. I have it recording on the old Skybox there, so yeah, I'll be watching it after the stream. Actually, I need to check in on something different, actually. One sec. Cool. Suarez with Salah, it's just trophy collector. Oh, can you imagine, man? And even Luis Suarez versatility in this team. You may make an argument to say a Robbie Fowler or an Owen or a Torres might be a better fit, but any chance to get to see Luis Suarez again would have been amazing. How was Christmas? It was good, thank you. Yeah, it was relatively quiet, which is what I like at this stage of life. So yeah, all good. I just had the Christmas day off. I've been working every other day. So Connor's going away for New Year. So it's going to be little old me running the show for a few days while Connor's away. He's gone away on the 30th. So yeah, 4 days. I'll be probably taking one of those off. But honestly, I want to just thank you all again. I don't know why you tune in and watch. I don't know why the channel is growing the way it is, but I'm so grateful to all of you for tuning in, for joining the journey with us. It's been a mad last year or two. Like, we've done 2 live shows in Liverpool, Dublin, Belfast, Cardiff. The channel's growing. We're working with David Lynch on a regular basis, and I love that as well. I feel like I'm living someone else's life, So I want to just again thank you for all of it. It's mental to me. It never stops amazing me that this is real. Jessica said, me in South Africa. Well, we keep making the offer to South Africa, but we're yet to get anybody to show us a venue. So it's a toss-up now between, for the big show, Toronto, South Africa, or somewhere in Europe. We want to do one jolly up where we go and do a live show and have a bit of a trip. So Toronto, South Africa, or somewhere mainland Europe are the 3 places Conor and I are looking to try and get something done. Shay said, your honesty is refreshing compared to other Liverpool fan channels. Thank you, mate. I don't watch them, to be honest with you, the other channels. But yeah, I don't want to run anyone down. I don't. I think there's something for everybody in the Liverpool fan base. Sometimes I get wound up when I don't think people are being sincere and maybe they're afraid to speak out because they don't want their access lost. That winds me up sometimes, but ultimately, I want them all to keep doing what they're doing because we're growing and we're whooping their ass. So whatever they're doing it wrong. So let them keep at it. Big Steve, man, much love. Appreciate you. Jay said Toronto, please. Would love Toronto. Toronto would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone for me because my wife has lots of family in kind of Mississauga area, which I think's just outside Toronto, if my memory's right. So Toronto would be a dream. Rich, much love, bro. Rich, you've been around ages as well, man. Thank you so much, Rich Purse. Right, I don't know if I brought this one up before. Do we need to sign a replacement for VVD now to be his understudy for when he does eventually leave? New contract or not, so we don't need to worry. In the summer, I'd say 100% yes. Because right now, I don't know what way Kwanzaa's development is going to go. It's been kind of like night and day, which is sort of understandable for a relatively young centre-back, so I'm not writing him off by any stretch, but I do think it will be prudent of us to look to bring in that next player, which is why Lenny Yoro would have made a load of sense at the time. So I like where your head's at, Charlie, and I don't think it would be silly of us to look ahead. Even if we do have 2 or 3 more years of Virgil and Ibu, I think if we had one injury to Virgil, I would be concerned now. I would. So I think, yeah, I would agree with you. Be prudent of us to address that situation, but I think it can hold off till the summer. Fidget06, thank you, sir, said, what a season both our clubs are having. Slot and Maresca were gambles, but have worked out very well. Respect. Yeah, I mean, certainly you guys are probably a little bit ahead of development where you would have expected at this point. Maresca's certainly getting a tune out with those players, and it'll be interesting to see how this development continues for you guys. But certainly, yeah, 2 appointments that probably went under the radar a little bit with regards to what was expected of them. But 2 appointments that I think both sets of fans would look at and go, yeah, it's not too bad, Come to Melbourne, Australia. Oh, of course. Look, I'd love to. I think, if I'm being really honest, the idea of an Australia thing would likely be, I'd want the channel to be bigger, before we'd consider that, because you'd like to, if you're going to Australia and you're going all that way, you'd probably want to do 3 or 4 different cities across Australia. and maybe New Zealand all at the same time to make, the trip worthwhile. Sightseeing in one, show, a few other bits and bobs. But someday, man, I just don't think the channel's big enough to justify something like that yet. I think we can get to 1 million subscribers though, and I don't think I've ever really said that out loud before, but I think we can do it, because it's a crime to me that Liverpool don't have a channel at 1 million. Arsenal have it. I think the United Stand, if I'm not mistaken, just hit 2 million. Why not us? Why not Liverpool? We should have. So if it's going to be us, as in the club, why not be little old us? So let's see what happens. Peder Isaacson, how are you? My Icelandic friend. Lovely to see you. So Cunha would be your second best forward behind Salah if he joined. Do you know why we said we weren't in a title race? I guess to measure expectation. I'd probably say the very same if I was in Maresca's shoes. Dwayne Salmon said, Craig, Isak has proven himself in this league, so I prefer to sign him. Right, let's check. Actually, I haven't looked at this poll yet. So we're nearly at 1,000 votes, and we're nearly at the end of the stream. So let's get the two of these to mesh. Keep voting if you haven't done so already. We asked you to pick a player to sign. The options are Omar Marmoush, Alexander Isak, Mateus Cunha, and João Pedro. And we're going to leave that running for a few more minutes. If you're coming in late, don't worry. We're going to record a recap video that's going to be coming out at about 15-20 minutes after the stream ends. So we might have some fresh bits and pieces in it, as well as everything we covered tonight. So keep an eye out for that one as well. So Salah hasn't signed yet after reading he did on Google. It's a weird one with Salah, to be honest with you, Mark, because you've seen Aguero come out with it, and some others have come out with it, and the Egyptian former player came out with it. But I've not seen a credible English-based journalist yet come out with it. But what I would say to you, my friend, is I really feel like you're not going to be disappointed with Virgil and Mo. I feel very confident in saying they're getting done. If maybe they are done and they haven't announced it, I don't know, but I feel we'll be okay on those two. Hey Craig, speaking about Australia, what's the football there? Do Melbourne victory versus Western Sydney and Melbourne? I'd love to. Absolutely. Whenever we do go to anywhere, any city, when we were supposed to be going to Boston before what happened, we had tickets to go and watch the New England Revolution at Gillette Stadium. We were going to go and watch that, and I was supposed to go to Vegas as well in November, and we were going to go watch an NFL game in Vegas, but unfortunately those things didn't happen. So definitely would love to do it. Oh, we're going to be recording a video next week with All Red. You might remember I went on to All Red a couple of months back and did a video over there. We're going to be recording with Sam from All Red ahead of the Manchester United game. That will come out next Saturday, so we're recording next week. So keep an eye out for that one as well. We always like to repay someone's kindness if they invite us onto the channel. So we're going to get that in the books next week. Right, I think we're almost there. We need 40 more votes, and if you haven't subscribed, folks, please do. Thank you to everyone for hitting the like button as well tonight. I'm proud of us, all of us tonight, because this has been a tough stream with an emotional subject, and I think everyone's been as respectful as I could have hoped for in the chat. So thank you to everybody for that one, apart from the few tryhards, let's call them, at the start of the stream. When are you coming to Jamaica? Would you believe I've been to Jamaica once, Dwayne? On my honeymoon as part of a cruise we were on. We stopped off in Jamaica. Got myself some nice weed while I was there as well. Charlie, I'm just here for your beauty, Craig. Don't tell my wife, but even she find out, she'll understand. You're beautiful, gorgeous, handsome Irish beauty. Fair enough, mate. You can't help it. It is what it is. Thank you, Charlie, as always, mate. Right, we need 5 more votes. We're nearly there. And by the way, it's a landslide victory, this one. It's only been a 2-horse race. Craig, the Toronto Liverpool Supporters Club is top-notch, very family-oriented. Sweet. Look, Toronto, show us a venue and we'll show up. First one to give us a venue. Toronto, South Africa, mainland Europe. First person to email me in with a real venue option, you're going to win. Right, so we've got 1,000 votes, and with 50% of the vote, the player that you guys have said you would like to sign from the 4 options available is Omar Marmoush with 50% of the vote. In second place, Isak with 39%. Then comes Cunha with 6 and João Pedro with 3. So thank you to everyone that took time to vote. Last super chat before we finish up. Future third kit colour, what would you like done? So I like Liverpool kits to either be, the away and third kits to either be white with red, green or yellow. Any of those colours and I'm good. So thank you, Arthur. But yeah, they're the colours that I like with Liverpool. So a yellow one or a white one, white with red on it, or a green one. Right, I'm going to say goodnight because I got to go record this recap video. So keep an eye out for that in a few minutes. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Tomorrow, obviously, we're playing West Ham. So we'll be starting our watch along from 4 o'clock. We'll have our match reaction, player ratings video, and everything else that you would expect on a match day. So I will catch you then. Thank you for joining us and appreciate your support. We'll talk to you tomorrow.